So welcome students. In this video, let us look at the introduction of the topic trigonometric equations, and we'll see what the meaning of trigonometric equation is, what the meaning of solution of the trigonometric equation is, the meaning of general and principal solutions of a trigonometric equation. First, an equation involving one or more trigonometric functions of an unknown angle is called a trigonometric equation. So, a trigonometric equation, for example, can look like tan square theta is equal to 2. So, this is a equation involving a trigonometric ratio of an unknown angle. So, the trigonometric equation can look like the secant square theta minus 5 secant theta plus 6 is equal to 0. This is a trigonometric equation involving the trigonometric function secant. So you can also have a trigonometric equation in more than one trigonometric functions. For example, sin x plus cos x is equal to 1. This is a trigonometric equation in two trigonometric functions. So now, once the trigonometric equation is given, you'll be asked to solve this trigonometric equation. So what is the meaning of solving of this trigonometric equation? That means you need to find the solution of this trigonometric equation. So the solution of trigonometric equation is nothing but the values of theta for which this equation is valid. The values of the unknown angle, So it might be theta in some case, x in some case, y in some equation, so on, whatever it is, the values of unknown angle for which the equation holds is called the solution of the trigonometric equation. But there is a slight difference between the normal equations that we have encountered till now, which are called algebraic equations, and trigonometric equations. So first let us see the difference between algebraic equations and trigonometric equations. So for example, let us take a very simple algebraic equation, which is x square is equal to 1. It's a very simple quadratic equation. So what are the solutions of this? What are the solutions of this algebraic equation? That means, what are the values of x for which this equation holds? Obviously, x square is equal to 1 implies x is equal to plus or minus 1. There are two solutions. So let us take the corresponding trigonometric equation. Something like sin square x is equal to 1. So how many solutions does this equation have? Sin square x is equal to 1 implies sin x is equal to either plus 1 or minus 1. So now comes the difference between algebraic part and trigonometric part. We know that trigonometric equations are periodic functions. That means their values repeat after certain interval. That is, if sin x has to be equal to 1 for the position which is of 90 degrees corresponding to the ray of this position, the value of sin x will always be equal to plus 1, and correspond to this position of minus 90 degrees, the value of sin x is always equal to minus 1. That means if sin x has to be equal to plus 1, x can be equal to 90 degrees or 1 rotation plus 90 degrees, that is 360 plus 90, 360 degrees plus 90 degrees, or 2 rotations plus 90 degrees, that is 720 degrees plus 90 degrees, so on, 3 rotations plus 90 degrees, 4 rotations plus 90 degrees, as long as the ray stops. As long as the ray stops at this position, the value of sin x will be equal to plus 1. Now, for what values of x will sin x be equal to minus 1? So sin x will be equal to minus 1 for this position, right? So x can be equal to minus 90 degrees or 1 rotation and then minus 90 degrees, that is 360 degrees minus 90 degrees, 2 rotations minus 90 degrees, 720 degrees minus 90 degrees, so on. So these are the values of x which are possible. So do you see the difference between algebraic equation and trigonometric equation? Algebraic equation usually have finite number of solutions, usually. and trigonometric equations usually have infinite number of solutions. So you need to have a way to represent all these solutions. So if sine square x is equal to 1, the solution of this equation is not one particular number or two particular numbers. So you have infinite number of solutions. So what we are going to learn is a way in which you can express all these solutions in a single line. So as you can see here, so is there an easy way to represent all these solutions? So let me write in radian form. So the answers are pi by 2, 2 pi plus pi by 2, 4 pi plus pi by 2, so on. 2 pi plus pi by 2, 4 pi plus pi by 2, so on. This is one set of solutions. Or you can also have minus pi by 2, 2 pi minus pi by 2, 4 pi minus pi by 2, so on. So is there some way in which you can express all these solutions? So can you express all these solutions in the form of 2n pi plus or minus pi by 2, where n belongs to integers, because this can go in the negative direction also. Minus 2 pi plus pi by 2 is also valid, minus 4 pi plus pi by 2 is also valid. So there is some way in which you can express all the solutions in terms of a variable number which belongs to integers. So this way of writing the solution is called the general solution of trigonometric equation. The general solution of sine square x is equal to 1 can be written as 2n pi plus or minus pi by 2, where n belongs to integers. And this solution covers all the possible solutions for this equation sine square x is equal to 1. And that brings us to our next topic, the difference between general solution and principal solution. So we have already seen what a general solution is. It is, for example, so if you have the equation sine square x is equal to 1, this equation will be satisfied for infinite values of x, and there is a way to express all those infinite values in a simple expression. So x is equal to 2n pi plus or minus pi by 2, where n belongs to z. That means if you put different integers in the place of n, you go on getting different values of x, and each of the value is a solution to this equation, and all the solutions of this equation can be expressed in this form. It works in both ways. So this has to express all the solutions, and all the solutions have to be of this form. So this is called the general solution of the equation sine square x is equal to 1. What is principal solution? Principal solution are the values of those x's which satisfy this equation, which lies in the interval 0 to 2 pi open, closed 0 to open 2 pi. That means the solutions which lie in the first rotation are called the principal solutions. There is the first rotation, that is 0 to 2 pi, close 0 to open 2 pi, or 0 to 360 degrees. 0 included, 360 not included. The solutions which lie in this interval are called the principal solutions. So to get the principal solutions is very easy. That means you just write the general solution and see which of these solutions are in 0 to 2 pi. For example, if you take the solution, so for n is equal to 0, you have plus or minus pi by 2. For n is equal to 1, you have 2 pi plus or minus pi by 2. Next, for n is equal to 2, you have 4 pi plus or minus pi by 2, so on. For n is equal to minus 1, you have minus 2 pi plus or minus pi by 2, minus 4 pi plus or minus pi by 2, so on. All these are solutions to this equation. Now you need to search for solutions which lie between 0 to 2 pi. So you can see that plus pi by 2 is in the first rotation 90 degrees. So pi by 2 is one of the principal solution, and 2 pi plus pi by 2 is more than 2 pi. I don't want that. 2 pi minus pi by 2, which is 3 pi by 2, is also in the first rotation. So pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2 are the principal solutions of this equation. So you can see that all the other solutions lie beyond 2 pi or before 0. Minus 2 pi plus pi by 2 is negative. Minus 2 pi minus pi by 2 is also negative. So there are only two solutions, pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2 in the first rotation, that is in between 0 and 2 pi or 0 and 360 degrees. So these two constitutes the principal solution of this equation. So I hope you understand the difference between the general solution and the principal solution. If you know the general solution, it is very straightforward to find the principal solution. You just need to search for those values of solution which lies in between closed at 0 to open 2 pi. So let us look at some more examples. So if you have the trigonometric equation sin x is equal to 0, it's a very simple trigonometric equation. So I want the values of those angles for which sin is equal to 0. So if you draw the quadrant diagram for sin, so it looks like plus, plus, minus and minus. That is, the sin values are positive in the first two quadrants, negative in the next two quadrants. So for what positions of the ray will sin x be equal to 0? Sin x will be equal to 0 when x is equal to 0 or when x is equal to pi. At 0 as well as 180 degrees, at these two positions, the value of sin will be equal to 0. So if I write all the solutions, so you have 0, pi, and as you go on rotating, whenever the ray passes these two positions, you have a solution. So pi, again you have a 2 pi, you have a 3 pi, you have a 4 pi, so on. All these are solutions to sin x is equal to 0. This implies if I have to write this in a standard form, can you see that all these are multiples of pi? So sin x is equal to 0 implies x is equal to n times pi, where n belongs to integers. You can also go to minus pi, minus 2 pi, so on. So we have solutions on this side of 0, on this side of 0. So sin x is equal to 0 implies x is equal to n pi. This is something which I remember because it is so easy that I remember this result. Sin x is equal to 0 implies x is equal to n pi. And whenever I deal with problems, I'll write this directly. I don't need to derive this. Next. So if you're asked to find the principal solutions to this, the principal solutions are nothing but 0 and pi. You have two principal solutions for this. Next, you have cos x is equal to 0. So what are the solutions of cos x is equal to 0? So if you draw the quadrant diagram for cos is positive in the first and fourth quadrants, negative in the second and third quadrants. So cos x will be 0 at this position of the ray and this position of the ray. Cos 90 is 0 and cos 270 is 0. It starts with 1, it goes to 0, it goes to minus 1, it comes back to 0, it again goes to plus 1. So these are the two positions which we want. So what are the solutions for this? X is equal to pi by 2. And what this position is 3 pi by 2. And in the second rotation you have 5 pi by 2. The second rotation you have 7 pi by 2, so on. You can go to negative values also, minus pi by 2, minus 3 pi by 2, so on. So all these are solutions to the equation cos x is equal to 0. So is there a general way to write this? Yes. All these are nothing but odd multiples of pi by 2. So I can write x as odd number can be written as 2n plus 1 times pi by 2. So the general solution of cos x is equal to 0 is 2n plus 1 times pi by 2, and the principal solutions are nothing but 90 degrees and 270 degrees. Pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2 are the principal solutions. All these solutions constitute the general solution. Now let us take tan x is equal to 0. So if you have tan x is equal to 0, what is the solution of this? So again, what is the quadrant diagram for tan? Plus, minus, plus, minus. So where will tan be 0? If tan has to be 0, we know that tan is sine by cos. So if tan x is equal to 0 implies sine x is equal to 0. And the solution will be exactly same as the solution of sine x is equal to 0. Hence, the solution is x is equal to n pi. And the principal solutions are 0, So sin x is equal to 0, cos x, tan x. Similarly, if you have cot x is equal to 0, cot x is nothing but cos x by sin x. So if cot x has to be equal to 0, cos x has to be equal to 0. That means the solutions of these two equations are same. So x is equal to 2n plus 1 times pi by 2. And the principal solutions are pi by 2, comma 3 pi by 2. These are the principal solutions. Next, if you have the equation sin x is equal to 1, sin x is equal to 1, what is the solution for this? So if you draw the quadrant diagram for sine, you have plus, plus, minus, minus. So sin x is equal to 1. Where will sin x be equal to 1? Obviously at 90 degrees. So you won't have any allied position for 90 degrees, because 90 degrees, if you have any angle in the first quadrant, its reflection will be the allied position, but 90 does not have a reflection. So x is equal to 90 degrees. This position corresponds to sin x is equal to 1. This position corresponds to sin x is equal to minus 1. So I want sin x is equal to 1. So you have only one position for this. So you have x is equal to pi by 2, right? And 2 pi plus pi by 2. That is 5 pi by 2. Next, you have 4 pi plus pi by 2, right? 4 pi plus pi by 2. So in each rotation, you have only one solution for this. This is the speciality of sin x is equal to 1. So I can write x is equal to 2n pi plus pi by 2. It is pi by 2. If n is equal to 1, you have 2 pi plus pi by 2, 4 pi plus pi by 2, so on. Or I can also write it as 4n plus 1 times pi by 2. 4n plus 1 times pi by 2 if I take the LCM. So this is the general solution of sin x is equal to 1. And what is the principal solution of sin x is equal to 1? Principal solution is only pi by 2. You have only one of this. So next, let us look at cos x is equal to 1. So where will cos x be equal to 1? If you draw the quadrant diagram, plus, plus, minus, minus. So this is the position where cos x is equal to 1, cos 0 is equal to 1, and here it is minus 1. So you have only one position again. So 0, 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, so on. So x is equal to 2n pi is the general solution for this. And what is the principal solution? So principal solution is just the angle 0. You won't have any other principal solution for this. So sin x is equal to 1, cos x is equal to 1 has only one principal solution. And the general solutions for sin x is equal to 1 is 4n plus 1 times pi by 2. Cos x is equal to 1 is 2n pi. So if you have the equation sin x is equal to minus 1. So what is the general solution for and principal solution for this? So if you draw the quadrant diagram for sin, plus, plus, minus, minus. So this will be the corresponding position of the ray where sin x is equal to minus 1. So you have only one position, which is 3 pi by 2, or I can write as minus pi by 2. So the solutions are minus pi by 2, 2 pi minus pi by 2, right? One complete rotation and then go to minus pi by 2. This 2 pi minus pi by 2, 2 rotations minus pi by 2, so on. Some number of complete rotations minus pi by 2 is the solution for this. So what is the general solution? 2n pi, this time minus pi by 2. That is nothing but 4n minus 1 times pi by 2. That means if you have 4n plus 1 times pi by 2, the value of sin x will be equal to plus 1. If you have 4n minus 1 times pi by 2, the value of sin x will be minus 1. And what is the principal solution? Principal solution is just one angle 3 pi by 2. This is the principal solution of sin x is equal to minus 1. Next, if you go for cos x is equal to minus 1, so the general solution comes from this position. So this is the 180 degrees is the position where cos x will be equal to minus 1. You have only one position. So what are the answers for this? X is equal to pi or 3 pi or 5 pi, so on. That's nothing but odd multiples of pi. So at even multiples of pi, cos x is equal to plus 1. At odd multiples of pi, cos x is equal to minus 1. And the principal solution is nothing but pi. We have only one principal solution. So I hope you have understood the difference between the general solution and the principal solution. So now we can move on to the next topic.